Have you experienced grief? I heard this great definition of grief. It's love that has nowhere to go. This grief can be the loss of a person, a job, an idea, a business, your childhood, an aspiration, or even your marriage. Anything where there has been an irreplaceable loss, and you need someone to help infuse purpose and wisdom into the tragedy and loss you've experienced. You need to embrace and bring to the surface goodness from the situation. Grief is not really an emotion, but a state that you're in. Understanding that your grief makes everything different for a period of time. You feel like you're moving through a fog, and things are going to move slower. You need to allow yourself time to reflect before you move on. Life is not going to go like normal while you're experiencing grief. If that's your expectation, you're setting yourself up for unnecessary pain and suffering. So here's a few things about grief. You can't go around grief. You have to go through it. The sooner you can invite other people into the grief, the faster you can begin to heal. See, most people resist the process of grief. They want to bury the feeling or hide away from it and not do the work to process it. The second thing is grief is highly inconvenient. It goes against all of our normal processes, which are to produce and to perform and to succeed. Listen, when you're going through grief, it's okay to lower your expectations for this time in your life. Simplify every area of your life that you can and do less for a little while. Don't feel bad that you're not able to be as productive as you've been previously. This doesn't mean you can't go to work and you can't take care of your family. Just lower your expectations that others may have of you and yourself during this time. And 3, grief, it's very un-American. In many other cultures, grief is really better understood and accepted, that it takes time to process and begin to heal from the loss. In our American culture, grief goes against our drive to be productive, to get work done, to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and get back to work. Listen, if you're grieving anything, I'm giving you permission right now to grieve, to walk out this very painful and difficult process. Picture grief as a giant big suitcase that over time is going to turn into a backpack that will get lighter and easier to carry around, and over time that backpack becomes a fanny pack or a belt bag, and eventually that belt bag can turn into a wallet that's smaller and even easier to carry with us. But the pain never goes away. We don't get over the thing. We carry the weight, but don't allow it to be overwhelming. Each one of us will process grief differently, and that's okay. We have to give ourselves permission and others permission to process grief. Some people will turn to faith, others may plant a tree, others of us are gonna get angry, and others become unemotional. Just don't allow yourself to stay in any one of those states too long. You most likely have heard of the 5 stages of grief. But as someone who likes lists and sequential order, listen to this. The stages of grief are not linear. But in order to heal, you do have to go through each one. Denial, the first one. This can look or feel like being confused, numb to everything, or for some of us, just business as usual. Second one is anger. The loss feels cruel or unfair. And then we get to bargaining. The what if questions, the second guessing, the self-blame. What could have been done to prevent blank from happening? The next one's depression. This is going to come in waves at times. And the last one is acceptance. This brings about peace when you're able to begin to share memories and experiences of the person or the idea with others. And this process can take weeks, months, even years. It's normal to be through the process and then have a day or two where you slip back into previous stages. I want you to think about your emotions as a pendulum, that swinging thing. That sometimes you're going to feel sadness and darkness and loss, and it's okay to embrace these emotions. And then in the next moment, you may swing over to joy and gratitude and happiness. See, both sides of the emotions in your life are going to happen even while you're still grieving. I've grieved the loss of family, I've grieved the loss of a job, and I've grieved the loss of hopes and dreams, and they all hurt. And it's okay for them to hurt. Here's one of my big takeaways for while you're grieving. Don't make any big decisions during this time. Bring other people into your decision-making process. Because what sounds smart in your head and your emotions, when they're all mixed up, when you begin to vocalize it out to somebody else, they might be able to catch and go, hey, that doesn't pan out. That's not going to be the best decision for you. So bring others in if you've got to make decisions during this time of grieving. I want you to grieve as little as possible for things. I don't want there to be so much hurt and loss in your life that it becomes routine for you to grieve. But I'm hoping that as you recognize you have to go through the process, that you can begin to find joy and peace in those moments that come after grieving. I know I enjoy my kids a little bit more after the loss of my mom and saying, wouldn't she have loved to have been here for this moment? As my hopes and dreams have evolved and I've had to lay some to the side, I enjoy the things that I've accomplished after those grieving processes because I've been able to see what never was, so I can enjoy what is. So grieving is not straightforward, it's not simple. It takes time. So let yourself have the time, whether it's a day, a week, or a month, or longer. As I said, it's not a straight line. And I like processes where we do 1, we do 2, we do 3, and we move forward. Grieving, unfortunately, is not like that. You'll go to 1, and you'll jump to 3, and you'll go to 5, and you'll slide back to 2, and it's kind of this whole jumbled up thing. But the process is worth it, because we don't want to get stuck in any one of those because we'll miss out on so much that could have been. Know that I'm thinking of you. I'm hoping that this process is doable for you and that you have people around you to walk you through this process. You don't want to grieve alone. So find some people to help you on this journey, to be there for the bad days and the good days. But grieving is a process.